Hey guys, welcome to the Passive Investing Made Simple show. I'm your host, Whitney Elkins-Hutten, Director of Investor Education here at PassiveInvesting.com. And I'm excited you are joining me today because today we are going to continue our conversation around how to buy back your time. So maybe you're a high income earner at a job, or maybe you are a business owner, you own your own business, and you're just like, I am like on my path to building a huge net worth, but you're just like, wait a second. I want some freedom along the way. So how can we on this journey, as you are scaling your net worth or scaling your business, actually start buying back your time? Okay. And we're going to have some mindset shifts today, as well as help you actually do some of the math. Now, guys, if you have any questions as we go through today's presentation, make sure to drop those in the Q&A box, and I will make sure to get to those when it is appropriate. So let's whoop, sorry, things are freezing here. All right. So I do this show live every Tuesday to help you learn the ins and outs of passive investing. So if this is your first time joining, again, welcome. You're in the right place. If you want to turn your active income and savings into long-term income, passive income, something that doesn't require you trading your time or long-term wealth. And maybe you've tried investing before and just, couldn't get quite comfortable making the investment, or you actually made an investment and you're like going, I think I might have like made a mistake. Maybe this investment that I made didn't really match my needs in my portfolio, or you just simply want to become a better investor and sharpen your skills. You're in the right place. So I want, if this is the first time you and I are meeting each other, a little bit about me is that I've been investing in real estate actively since 2002. But currently today, I've scaled over 800 million in real estate investments, active and passive investments, uh, in residential real estate, self-storage, even in businesses like express car washes. I've done over 5 million in fix and flip. I've actually documented my journey in my book, Money for Tomorrow, How to Build and Protect Generational Wealth. But I do this all in service of the picture you see here on the screen, which is how can I spend the most time? How can I have the choice to spend the most time with my family and friends? Now, again, you can pick up my book at biggerpockets.com or on amazon.com if you want to learn more about my personal journey. But today is all about you, how I can help you just, shine a light on one part of your path, one part of your journey on how you can start getting similar results to me, which is how you can have 100% control and choice on how you spend your time. Because I think that's what we're all here for. If we wanted to be the active investor, and scale a portfolio, put in all the work, build all the teams, we would be listening to a different webinar. You're here because you have a higher and better use of your time. Okay, maybe you are scaling your own business. Maybe you're helping scale in partnership somebody else's business. Okay, maybe you're even retired or a stay-at-home mom, stay-at-home parent, right? You have a higher and better use of your time. And we can actually help you do that here at PassiveInvesting.com, whether it's through our equity investments or in our real estate debt fund, which kicks off monthly cash flow. And we'll talk more about that here later. But I just invite you, we can help you reach those goals. So make sure to reach out or visit passiveinvestingwithwhitney.com. There you get priority access to our deals. You can schedule a one-on-one call with me. We can talk through those goals with you, as well as get you plugged into our educational resources. All right. So you are working a lot. You're scaling, you're growing, you are living the dream as either an entrepreneur scaling your own business or an entrepreneur helping maybe you're in the C-suite helping scale somebody else's business. You're making great money, but your wealth build is dependent upon your time. How can we start shifting our mindset and get away from this? Well, I want to tell you about a client of mine that I've worked with personally. And he actually is amazing. I mean, he is, put together, I mean, he actually went through a real estate crisis here several years ago, scaled an amazing business. On paper, he has multiple locations in his medical services business. He has it all, the big income, the beautiful house, he gets to travel, his kids are taken care of. But here's the truth. He was stuck. He was like, Whitney, the only way I can get out of this business, okay, is to sell the business. I get a lump sum check, and then what do I do? Well, we started having a conversation because I want you to know, as a business owner, as a high income earner, it's not an all-in-one solution. Okay, there's multiple different ways that we could help him meet his goals here. But I want to, help you understand that the work should actually happen, 10, 15, 20 years before you want to do an exit. Okay, but how do we make this happen? Okay, it's really making that core shift as a business owner. Okay, because remember, as a business owner, you're thinking in terms of equity. How can I create as much income as I can in my business? That way, my business is valued more, right? You're doing the value add projects that would equivalent in rental real estate, but you've mistaken that the exit is what's going to give you freedom. Okay. When really, as a business owner, we need to hold two things in our head simultaneously. One, you are doing the amazing job building and scaling that business. But how can we take some chips off the table and create true freedom for yourself? And the true freedom comes in the form of cash flow. All right. So again, this is like you have to hold, as a business owner, both these things simultaneously in your head. Okay. Because we need cash flow coming in from your investments that operates independent of your daily involvement in it in order to get you free. Right. Maybe you decide you don't want to sell that business. Okay. Maybe you want to pass it on to the kids, or maybe you want to bring in, promote a internal employee, and then they take over the business and you become a silent partner. Right. This gives you more flexibility on your exits. But it's really when we start having this mindset shift that we can move you from being a stuck business owner, or maybe stuck in the C-suite, to somebody who has a little bit more freedom, a free owner, okay? Somebody who's free in the C-suite, okay? So again, when we, take a look at the screen, if you feel stuck, are you operating just on your net worth being high and that at one point in time that you're going to cash out? Okay, is your cash flow dependent upon your business? Do you have limited time? All right, is your control all about how you can control your business operations? All right, and is your stress usually high and pretty constant? Whereas when we talk about the free owner, okay, again, this is about being asset rich. They're still going to have a pretty high net worth, right? Because they're growing and running their business. But now they've taken some of that active income off the table and created diversified streams of income, things that don't depend on them being in the daily involvement of the operation of. And now this starts giving them a little bit more time freedom, meaning they can choose to step back and only be a half-time owner in the business. Or, or even again, pass off business operations entirely to somebody else. Why? Because they can actually afford to bring in that operator because they've got income coming in over here from their investments. All right. So this gives them a little bit more control. They're not just in control of the business operation, they're now in control of their investment strategy and their lifestyle and the business operations. They have ultimate control. And you would think having more control would actually mean a higher stress. Actually, it means they probably have lower stress and it's more manageable because, again, their needs are being met from multiple locations. But I get a lot of pushback when I talk to business owners is they object. They're like, yeah, Whitney, this all sounds great, but I just don't know what I want yet. Like, do I want to, like, what would I do if I exited my business or to, only work half time? That's not the point. The point is to give you optionality. Another objection I get is, isn't this risky to take active chips off the table and start investing into passive deals like debt or something like that that's going to give me cash flow? I've heard a ton of stuff, that things can go wrong. Yes. Okay. Just like any investment, there are risks, and we will talk through about how do we mitigate those risks through proper due diligence, proper deal underwriting, and staying in communication with our operators. And then probably the biggest objection I get is I just don't have the time to figure this all out. Great. We're not trying to make you the economist here. We are trying to get you knowledgeable enough to where you can take your core skill as a business operator, which is hiring a team underneath you, and apply that to scaling your portfolio. And then the last objection I get is a lot of people are like, why wouldn't I just take all my cash flow and double down on my own business? I control 100% of it. I built the business. I love that. I have the control. Again, this is about giving you optionality, taking some of those chips off the table and creating diversified income streams. Now, again, we're not trying to make you a professional investor. We're trying to convert you into a proficient investor. So again, remember the core shift here. It's not about, do I scale a business with equity or scale a company with equity? Or do I make a big exit and then convert into cash flow, right? We can have both of those things at the same time. But what gives us freedom is the cash flow. That gives us the optionality. And just a simple back of the napkin calculation is, if you require, say, $120,000 a year of income, maybe like 10K a month coming in, okay, then you need $1.2 million invested at 10%. That's it. All right. You don't have to have 5 million, 10 million, 15 million, right? If that's all you require, the math is pretty straightforward and simple. Okay. Remember, freedom is not a destination, meaning it's not getting a large check at the sale of the asset. It's all about the cash flow. All right, now I threw out some arbitrary numbers there. Now we're going to start getting down into brass tacks. Like, how do we actually make this all work for ourselves? Well, first, we got to identify what kind of freedom we're going after here, all right? Because it's very important. The type of freedom that you are going after is going to impact what kind of investing that you do, right? I see a lot of business owners and, C-suite, they are operators, okay? They love building. And so they feel like in their investing, they actually also have to do the building too. They have to be incredibly active. Okay, which leads to the objection, I don't have time. But that's not the case. We want our investments to be boring. That way we can continue inputting our energy into scaling the company, scaling the business that we dearly love. So what are your freedoms? Okay, remember, financial freedom is our fifth freedom, but it's the tool that unlocks the other four. So do you want time? Okay, do you want choice to do what you love? Do you want to be location independent? Okay, live wherever you want. Or do you just want, pure optionality? Choose if, when, and where, and how, okay? Normally with optionality, we also get that impact because we can do whatever we want. All right, so that's number one. What do you want? What kind of freedom do you want? All right, now if you are in on one of my boot camps where we talk about goal setting, we go deeper into the emotions that we want to attach to our freedom because that's how we're going to stay connected to the journey. But for the purpose of today's webinar, I want to transition into how do we start calculating the numbers. All right, so just like any journey, okay, if we're driving, say from Denver, Colorado to Los Angeles, I'm not going to make it all in one shot. I'm not going to wake up tomorrow morning on my drive and I'm in Los Angeles. I'm going to have pit stops along the way. And if I'm smart, I'm probably going to plan those, okay, and maybe take, a little bit of downtime and a little bit of rest. Know how far I've gotten, be able to measure. Same thing on this financial income journey, shifting from focusing on net worth and equity building to the cash flow building. Okay, so the milestone number one is essentially, kind of how can we be financially secure? Okay, this is where we've got our essentials covered from our cash flow coming in. Now, remember, you've been focused on your business cash flow covering those financials. We want to diversify so our investments are covering those essentials. So calculate, what do you spend on your home expenses, utilities, food, basic transportation, just those things that, like, if everything went poof, that would keep the lights on and help you survive, right? This is not luxury living. This is just the basics. That's milestone number one, okay? Then we level it up from there. Milestone number 2 would be defining more of like, say, like our financial independence number. This would be like, what is our current lifestyle cost right now? All of those kind of creature comforts. So, again, this requires that you're doing a lot of income and expense tracking already. Right. Then milestone number 3 would be thinking, into your dream lifestyle. Like, what would you want? Would you just get a bigger house? Would you have a bigger car, just a little bit more of what you already have? Or are you going to layer on additional luxuries like luxury travel, luxury boats, cars, maybe even own an island? Those are going to dictate your freedom, absolute freedom number. Right now, remember, this is a journey. So when you look at actually pivoting from scaling equity at a company, we're going to take those chips off the table. We're going to put them into investments that cash flow. We're going to, wherever you're at, I want you to define where you're at, which of these milestones you're at, and what's your next milestone you're going to tackle. Okay. And that's going to keep us focused on how we're going to build our portfolio. Okay, and I just want to introduce this concept. We are going to dive deep into this next week, but that is the cash flow ladder. All right, we've actually approached this from what I call the fortress balance sheet, but really when we are investing, we want to make sure our tier 1 level of investment is going to, give us those the liquidity, the emergency reserves. These are things that are accessible to us. Think of it like the foundation of a house. All right. How much liquidity do you need? All right. For some people, it's 3 months. Some people, it's 6 to 12 months worth of cash. Then tier 2 is going to be more of the predictability. Okay. This is the area we're playing in, the mindset shift we're playing in. How can we start investing into things that are going to give us that predictable cash flow, like dividends, debt funds, promissory notes, in order for us to be able to like live our lifestyle, right? Start hitting those milestones that we had here in the previous slide. But this is where people get really enamored, okay? Especially my business owners, is that they're like, wow, I'm all about equity growth over here. I'm going to do the equity investing over here, okay? That is fine. But if you're going to do the growth, make sure it has the cash flow component with it. And we're going to dive into more why and how to do that next week. All right. Remember, when we are figuring out how we want to move from being a business owner into, building those diversified investments alongside our business so we can actually scale ourselves out of our business at any time we want to, give ourselves optionality to walk away or stay. We need to, kind of back off needing or having to have that big exit to be free, which means we got to start creating those income streams now, making sure they cover your lifestyle, those different milestones, and that we're actually leaning into choice. We're choosing to do this. Now, I wanted to show you, this is, I've changed the name on one of my coaching clients, but she was a doctor. She needed 20K of monthly income coming in. And we actually built this into her plan, and she was able to exit in 3 years. Now, it wasn't overnight. She didn't have like 30 mil or 3 million sitting on the sideline in order to be able to do this very readily. We were very consistent about taking this money out of her private medical practice and then converting that into income that she can now consume. The cool thing is she's still in her medical practice, but she now has 100% freedom, okay, on what she does. Okay, she can stay in her practice, if she decided to like actually step back part-time in order to be with her family, she could bring in another operator because her investments are covering her income, okay? But she now owns the clinic now no longer owns her time. She owns her time. All right. Now, again, what keeps most business owners stuck? Even this can apply to high income earners too, is because they have control. I would want to say control issues. That's a little harsh, but it really is. They think if they are passive in anything rather than active in all investments, they're powerless. That's simply not true. And we're going to show you that, how to keep a lot of your power here in future videos. They have an identity attachment to their business. If they're not running the investment, who am I, right? If I'm not actively in my business, who am I? We want to make sure this give you space and time to unhook the identity. And then there's just the information overload. How do I get started? That's why we're doing this business building series, helping business owners transition into being passive investors. All right. So here's a little bit, of a, look at what we're going to be covering and helping you accomplish in the future videos. This is an assessment for you to take right now. Are you actually free? Do you have enough financial runway? How long could you go with your lifestyle if your business pause? Say like we got another COVID and then all of a sudden your business shut down. You couldn't do business anymore, say for like 3 or 4 years. How much financial runway do you have? Do you have cash flow coming in from your other investments in order to lengthen that runway? Are you building systems that help create income without you? Okay. Do you have those income systems in place? If not, let's get started. And do you have a freedom strategy? Do you know your freedom number? Do you know what those 3 milestones are to reach financial security, financial independence, and financial freedom? Okay. And do you have a plan to hit it? If not, stay tuned for our future episodes, and we're going to show you exactly how to do that, where we help you define your number, assess your cash flow, build your ladder, and take action. All right, guys, if you want to learn more, go to passiveinvestingwithwhitney.com. Again, we can hop on a one-on-one call, supercharge your path forward. You can reach out to me. There's no reason for you to wait for future episodes to come out. You can reach out to me today. We can get your path started. If you're here live, don't go anywhere. We're going to start the Ask Me Anything part of our show. All right, guys, what questions do you have? I'm curious, how many of you are business owners that are here today? Go over to the chat, or high income earners, and you're trying to figure out, hey, how do I move from scaling my equity in my business? How do I move from being this business owner into more of a passive owner? Okay. Also, before you leave, what is one thing you learned today that you're going to take home and actually implement? Do you know your numbers? Do you know how you're going to hit your numbers? All right. This is a great opportunity. You guys have me here as a captive audience. If you'd like to ask questions, I'm all about having people, engage, tell me what an aha they have. But I'll wait here for like a minute or two, and then I will give you back some free time on today. All right, guys, there's no questions coming in. I welcome you to continue to join me on this series. We're going to dive into the tiered investing model, that cash flow ladder starting next week. We're going to explore just all the opportunities that are out there in order to create cash flow and what some of my favorite ones are. As always, I appreciate you not only being here with me, but moreover, spending the time to invest in yourself. All right, take care.